Well, here we are, little past noon on Thursday. This is Toni Weel with Sara from Virtuous Unicorns. Just another Thursday in sunny Florida. I have the windows open so you hear the birds. It's kind of neat. I sometimes wonder if the neighbors would hear me talking. Wouldn't that be interesting?
I have neighbors, but I'm not that close so they can hear me talking.
Yeah, here they are close. It is that I absolutely love my house and my yard, but yeah, houses are close. But it's okay. People are nice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all that we need. And we have a lot of pollen in the air. I have my friend here in the community. She cannot even go outside from her because of her allergies. Now, we do know that once you really heal the body, your allergies go away. I always thought that was very interesting.
That is very interesting, and I can't wait for that to happen. So
Oh,
we'll see
yeah,
how
but
this
you
year
had,
goes.
but you had already some things clearing up.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it is. I saw this morning, I saw some things coming by, an announcement from Noah, where we did the salt episode with.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And she was doing a live show. She's in a totally different time zone, so that's why she cannot be here at noon. Because for her it's like 1 a.m. So
Yeah.
that doesn't really work out. But her show was about and I saw it just in a flash. It was about other things but your food that can keep you sick. And of course, that made me think, and also communications with people, environments they are in, toxic relationships, family issues. And I had my own share of that, and how it actually affects your health. And most importantly is things that were said to me, and at that point I was like, that's absolutely not true. Where do you even get that from? And then a year later I realized, my gosh, it is true. Is it because I never wanted to see it, or is it because now I created that? So that is actually an interesting question, is in how much is our health affected by things people say to us? How do you feel about that?
I think depending on like what they say to you, I think it really depends on where you are within your journey, and depending on really what they're saying. I mean, people say stuff to me. I don't want to say all the time because I try not to surround myself with any kind of negativity anyway, but I'm still out in the matrix each day and I hear stuff, and anymore it just kind of rolls off my back. I don't, whatever. I'm here to shine my light and spread the good word and the truth and plant seeds where I can. But like if it's coming from internal, like within your family and stuff like that, that can definitely be a little bit harder. I guess too, it just depends on how much you're being bombarded by it. But yeah, I mean, on this journey, there's definitely going to be people that don't see things the way that you see it. As we all know, the path becomes very narrow the higher up you get. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just live in a kind of bubble, but I'm not sure, because I do feel like I'm definitely in the matrix every single day still. But I just try to keep my my energy field pretty big and broad, and I focus on that every time I go out to maybe keep those away from me. I don't know.
Yeah, I think one person can be more sensitive to it than the other. I feel that I am extremely sensitive in it all. When I look back on my life and then the health issues that I got later in life, it's like, my God, those were all the things that kind of, well, intrigued me when I was younger. And maybe intrigued is not the right word, but and obsessed with is too strong. But it was like, I saw a lady that had she was had hypothyroid, and now I forgot the English word for struma. It's where you can see it in your neck that it got really big. And this was a very, very short lady, so we already know she had a pituitary issue, but she was very, very overweight. And as a young teenager, I was like, wow, I just had to look at her. It's like she looked so unusual. And lo and behold, 50 years later, I get that same problem. Not that I was short, but I definitely had I had a hypothyroid issue when I was a teenager, but it wasn't really showing, in my neck until I was in my 50s, 60s. So I had a neighbor, and this was also when I was 13, 14 years old, and she had this rheumatoid arthritis, and she was in her 30s, and all her fingers were completely deformed. And I just had to look at it. I was always amazed at what the body did. And what happens when I'm in my 60s, it happens to me. So it's like, am I creating these things? What is going on? Is it just that we get to our bodies get so acidic that it is just one of the levels that you are at? Because rheumatoid arthritis, I think it is like in level 5 of your acidic body, that can show up. Like 7 is cancer.
Yeah,
But
very
it's
well
kind
can
of
be.
weird, if you think, it's like you hear often, if you think about it, you create it. And I'm still puzzled with that. How can we actually completely prevent that from happening without that we constantly have to go into therapy?
Yeah. I think too, maybe just having a better understanding and really just putting our faith and trust in God and knowing that this is part of the plan, even when we don't understand everything that's going on. And I mean, like Katie said too, watching her friend go through a pretty rough divorce and watching her health deteriorate after we lost my stepdad, I know things started happening within both my mom and I. My mom started developing like a cough, and that's what we've been kind of going through with you. And then that basal cell carcinoma that came up on her back, stuff like that, just the acidity of it. And the one thing that really stuck with me is when we spoke with Lauren Waitman, she said that when she talked about the seizure medication, that just because you take the seizure medication and you can't physically see the seizure anymore, doesn't mean that your body's not going through the seizure still, or that it's still not having the symptoms of the seizure. We're just not physically seeing it because the muscles are not going through the seizure as well. So I think with stress, it's like stress is still affecting our body and we're still going through the stress. We just can't see it, but it's internally kind of eating away at us. And then that other example, when I started breaking out in hives after, some other stuff that went on in my life, and it was just kind of all popping up where mentally I feel okay, but my body's showing me different things that I'm not okay.
And that is the tough part, to realize that. And then where do you go from there? Because if negative thoughts can affect our health so much, then positive thoughts should be able to do the same thing.
Yeah. And that's what I did. All I can do is just turn within. And each time I do, I turn within and I try to go in my meditations and try to just hand everything over that I can, even though it's hard and it doesn't take just, a few weeks or even a few days. Just the other night, I still had a small hive pop up on my wrist. And even though I'm, trucking through this and doing everything I know how to do and staying the course, just having the faith is really all we can do.
Absolutely, it is. And really, I did have the worst issues when I went through a divorce, or I guided motorcycle tours, 3 weeks. 3 weeks with a bunch of people who have high expectations. Well, I can tell you, I guided those tours for 3 weeks with 12 to 20 people. After these 3 weeks, I was done. I had all the flu symptoms that you can ever imagine. And I needed 3 days in bed just to recover from the stress. So, but yeah, and then if you go to family issues and people not really understanding what you're doing, then it's only worse. And but that means that you have to get to even more loving yourself. I think that is, but sometimes I understand that's hard to do.
Yeah, it is. It is. We're just caught up in so much other stuff too. And I think a lot of it comes from we've been so distracted as well. And so many of us have finally gotten the 2020 vision and have chosen to step back and really start to look at things. And it's very hard to look in the mirror at yourself and really try to start working things, because things do surface. And on this path, as we all start detoxing, even just on the fruit, things start surfacing in us too, and the emotions and all kinds of things will start to come up. But again, what are we going to do? Are we going to go back? Are we going to, and I have trouble with therapists too. Like I have spoke to people in the past, therapist wise, but I never feel like they truly understand me, because we're not on the same path and we don't see things the same. And I had to really change my thought process in that too. But I found that my best teacher is really just myself, when I really sit down and listen and hand everything over to God, really, if any of that makes sense. That sounds so convoluted, huh?
It is. I always call it taking a step back and take a deep breath and listen. And I think that is the same as what you say, giving it over to God.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Sometimes you just don't know. I mean, and we are all in the same situation, one way or another. If it's not family, it can be work. And I know that, see it with my husband, how taxing it can be, the things that people do or the things that people say. And it's like, do I have to deal with this every day? But you're kind of in it, and there's no way out at that moment. But on the other hand, I see him cussing a lot when he's on the road.
My husband did too.
Yeah, and I never did that. I was like, and I think we talked about that with Marie last week. It's like, sometimes it's just like they may have a bad day. So when I'm with him, I always say that. And then it's like, well, why don't they, speed up? And it's like, why? You're in a hurry? No, but otherwise I have to brake, and then it takes a while before he drives a truck. It takes a while before I can get there. And I said, okay, so now you're frustrated both ways. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you have to do. So you choose actually how you respond to whatever is happening around you. That is your choice. And I used to really respond to whatever happened to me. And I actually had a reading with Lila. She's in the Telegram group, Lila Bird. I know her last name is different, but I forgot. And I had a human reading design. What was it? A human design reading. And it was quite interesting. I did record it, so I can upload it. People can listen to it. I may share it. But it did give me some more insight in how we are. And she said the people that you work with, you should make one of these reports, and to get a better insight if you can actually work with them. And for me, it came out, and now, God, I have to listen to it, what she called it. It was like being like a role model. And I was like, oh, okay, my daughter would disagree. So we actually made a chart for my daughter to see how she was completely opposite. So no, there's no wonder that there are issues. But my God, isn't that something if you have a child and then it's like, yeah, but that child responds this way, and maybe if you respond differently, then you get a different outcome. And I think that goes also for your health.
Yeah.
If you can be more positive on about the things, or feel more positive about the things that are happening to you, as bad as they are, then maybe things start changing and you start feel better. Now we can always go back to, be on all fruit and you feel better anyway. And it is easier than to have positive thoughts, because it's like negative thoughts is low frequency. Cooked food is low frequency. So I always kind of put the link there. So I have my days that I feel like, well, I don't feel like doing anything today. And it's like, okay, what did you eat yesterday? Back on fruit. It
Yeah.
is.
How much sleep did you get? What did you eat? And, did you have any interactions with people? But I just really do think, and going back to that again, it's simplicity. And that's what we also try to teach is it's not complicated. It's simple. All you can do is try to live virtuously, build your arcs daily, and realize that you just can't see the whole entire picture yet, or the tapestry of your life. And you just have to trust the process. If you're doing everything possible to be the best version of yourself that day, that's all you can do. God knows where you are and what you've been doing and what you've been lied to about, and that you're moving forward in this process of it the best way that you have ability to do at this time. And that's all you can really do, and just have faith in that.
Yeah, and those are the choices that you make every day, be the best version of you.
Yep, absolutely.
Grant, we kind of missed you coming on. Do you have anything to share with us?
Yeah.
I know Juan is not here today.
Yeah, I think Juan's still traveling. I heard, well, we all know he's in Mexico, but I heard, is he going to North Carolina next?
Oh,
I think that's what I heard, but please don't quote me. I'm not 100% on that, but yeah, that's interesting. One of the things that I did want to talk about again, and I believe we talked about in the past, but what about bad breath, halitosis kind of stuff? That's coming up, and it has nothing to do with your teeth, but coming up from your stomach.
yeah, from the GI tract, clean out the GI tract. And I think we ignore that still too much, but because we feel, and I'm guilty of that too. Feel kind of good, and like, no, there's nothing wrong with it, but you do realize it's not the way it should be, and definitely with a bad breath.
And that's what I've been trying to work through with one of the people I know. They're not eating meat, but actually I shouldn't say, they still are eating meat, but it's maybe like, I think they said maybe twice a month or something here and there, but they're definitely not eating it long term anymore. And I was just trying to explain to them that you've done this for so long now that you probably do have stuff in your stomach that is still, would you call it like fermenting in your stomach? Or
yeah, it can start depending on what you combine. And I experienced that after eating, even eating two fruits too close together. And this is interesting. I have a client, and I think they are in the Philippines. I'm not 100% sure. They have a 6-year-old twin girls. One girl has a weak pancreas and had diabetes type 1. The other girl that has no problems at all, not just fine. And so the girl with the diabetes, we had her on fruit for 6 to 8 weeks, and her numbers were normal. And the doctors wanted to put her on insulin. But she has a rather swollen belly, and she's playful, energetic, and but she is on only fruit. And I was like, it doesn't make sense that really swollen belly. So we have to figure out what it is. And it was combining like apples and cantaloupe.
Hmm. Well, melon should be alone.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
hmm.
So it can be, and for me, it's like I thought that I could eat other fruit after eating watermelon, like, half an hour later. I need to wait at least an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, yes, you get gas, and you get bloating, and you get fermenting, and I can feel it affecting my liver.
Yeah, I
So,
definitely feel the fermentation sometimes too. Even we had cantaloupe that was really, really good. So of course I went back and bought like 3 other ones. I think the second one of the third one, 3 that we bought, that felt like it was maybe overripe, and it felt like it was starting to ferment on its own already before even eating it. But I of course went ahead and ate it, and it didn't sit too well.
we have that with bananas too. They almost smell like alcohol. And
I
they
haven't gotten that one from bananas yet.
kind of tingle in your mouth. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not really working well.
Cantaloupe will tingle my mouth sometimes too. That's why I was surprised when I first found the first one that it was just so good. But yeah, we're off. I should actually probably say that we're off grapes now, and I've been doing some cantaloupe, and I did find some heirloom oranges, which are fantastic. They're so good. We found them at our Trader Joe's over here. But
Oh,
the weirdest thing that I found, and it didn't even dawn on me yet because I was, so happy to be back into oranges. They don't have any seeds in them, and they're called organic heirloom oranges.
yeah.
And I was like, where's the seed? And so I don't know, it was weird, but they are, every one of those oranges is like eating or having like a glass of juice when you're eating them. They're very, very juicy.
I still haven't found any delicious oranges, I think, for the last 2 years.
Wow. Do you
And I
have Trader
tried,
Joe's by you?
not nearby, but then again, what is it? Whole Foods and
Mhm.
Costco, they're all an hour away anyway.
Yeah.
And I think Trader Joe's is, probably in Tampa, so maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So
I
we
just-
may go there once a week, once every 2 weeks. But the really sweet oranges like we used to have a few years ago, it's like I see that with all the fruit, they're not as tasty anymore.
no.
You have a watermelon that tastes like a cucumber.
Yeah.
So,
I love watermelon juice, but I do not like to eat watermelon. That's what I was saying too, Katie. Katie said that's interesting. How do they reproduce? And that's what I thought too. I'm like, heirloom, like, they should have seed in them. And that's what I thought. But this
they
whole
can,
journey is just about surprises and realizing that the packaging doesn't mean anything.
yeah, but that's what I was gonna say. It's like I had somebody here and he said, yeah, but it's all natural. I think, okay, well, all natural doesn't mean anything. You can call anything and everything all natural. There's no, rule for that. It's the same with heirloom.
Yeah. As soon as I hear natural, I think, well, I'm not eating that.
Right.
That's a buzzword right there for me. Oh my gosh. That just made me start thinking about when they came out with they had Clorox wipes, and then they had the green Clorox wipes, or I can't remember what they were called, but they were supposed to be the alternative to the other. And I'd sit there and I'd see that commercial for the Clorox wipe. And of course, you always see them using them without a glove on too. And then, like, I don't know, the next day or something, you see the green Clorox wipe. And I'm thinking to myself, so are you telling us that the other one is not safe to use then? And so we should be using the green Clorox wipe? But that's how my mind always goes. Anytime I see advertising, I find it like a fun puzzle to try to untangle what they're really trying to say. But I don't even watch, we don't even watch TV anymore. But I do watch like episodes of stuff, but we don't sit and never watch TV like we used to back in the day.
It is with the naturally toxic. Yeah, thank Grant. That's what it is.
Yes. Yeah, naturally toxic. That's perfect.
I think that what you mentioned with the Clorox, the regular one and the green one, it's like the people who use the regular ones, they don't care.
Yeah.
And then you have the people who do care and want something better. Now Clorox has them as customers too, because now they have the green Clorox. So here you go.
It's just
And that goes with everything. That goes with your supplements, and with the alternative doctors or the naturopaths who can write you whatever. And it's still all the same. It's still even with the cleaning. I mean, oh gosh, I don't even know if I should say that. I now have a whole house water filter system. Absolutely beautiful guy who installed it here. He is 77 or 78, close to 78, I don't know. And he has his stories, and he was here twice, and he tries to get me on supplements. And I absolutely have to use it. It's working absolutely great. But then he has his there's a big sticker on that water filter, and it says NASA something. I'm like, that's not a good sign.
No, NASA. To deceive.
But yeah, he came with all kinds of, it's natural, and then it's like, oh God, I have to bite my tongue to not say anything, to get into endless discussions. We already got into endless discussions about NASA. He actually worked for NASA, and it's like, okay, I listened.
Oh my gosh, I know. Sometimes we do just have to sit back and let people talk, and then just realize that there's nothing we can say at this point in time. But maybe one day down the road. That's fun. We were in a quote health food store, and just looking around one day, and I sat there and I just looked around and thought, my goodness, I have wasted so much money in my life on buying all this alternative stuff, natural stuff, vitamins and minerals. And our naturopath, you couldn't leave her house without $300, at least, her sending you home with all these tinctures and things like that. And she just kept you on them. Granted, my son was great, all the way through, and everything was good. So I'm very thankful for that. But then she would see us in her basement. Very nice house. I mean, obviously she was doing very well for herself, charging that kind of money. And but her husband would be upstairs just like cooking meat, and they were all into their meats and cheeses and proteins, and making sure you're eating the rainbow and all this other stuff. And just looking back, and you just think, man, I wish I would have been on this journey so much earlier and knew so much more even way back when.
I could have bought a villa with all the money I spent on that kind of stuff. It's crazy. And now we learn the simplicity of everything, and how crazy it is to even believe that this is what we need. All this, well, what Dr. Morse calls it isolated chemistry. You pick a thing apart, and then you use only part from it. And how logic is that? Not at all. Absolutely not at all. And I thought I would die, if I wouldn't survive if I didn't take all these things that they told me to take. But it is a moneymaker. And before I knew better, I actually found a company, and I found out how easy it is to get your own name on a whole series of supplements. There are just companies, that is what they do. So all these chiropractors, they can, or naturopaths, they can actually have all the supplements under their own name, and many of them are actually doing it.
Well, even famous people like Alicia Silverstone, she has her own line of vitamins and stuff like that too. I think they're called Kind or something like that. So yeah. Oh, we have a guest. Hello.
Yeah, we have a cast iPhone.
Wait,
and
I
know
don't want my video on. How do I turn it off? Okay, there we go. Okay. Hi, everyone.
It's Katie. Hi.
Yeah.
It just says iPhone, so I wasn't sure.
I know. Somebody has to teach me how to switch it from iPhone to say Katie or something. Okay. Hi, everyone. I
Hello.
wanted to jump on because Sara was talking about how much money she spent seeing a naturopath. And years ago in 2000, I had to go see a naturopath in Arizona. And I am so grateful because he really did help me. And he started me on this journey. He was the one that kind of woke me up to a bunch of different things. But of course, I got married and then I had a baby. And then all of a sudden, all of his knowledge just went out of my head. I have no idea where it went. But anyways, what I wanted to say is that my son, he has seizures because of the MMR vaccinations. And we've been dealing that all of our life. But just a couple years ago, I was like, I've had it with, having him see a neurologist and, these prescriptions. I mean, when is he going to get off prescriptions? Why does he have these seizures? And then I was like, wait, I'm taking him down to Arizona to see this doctor that I saw. And that's when he made the connection. And then that's when everything just blew up for me. Once he reminded me of what I already knew, and then COVID came, and then I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, holy buckets. Anyways, the point of the story is this. At one time when I was trying to find out how to help Ryan, that's my son, with his seizures, somebody had mentioned like there's a big movement with keto helping people with seizures. And there's a doctor here who is actually, I went to school with, who wrote a book about keto and how these deep sea divers for the military, when they go so low or something, they'd have seizures. And then they put those men on a keto diet and then they stopped having seizures or something. Well, so I kind of convinced Ryan that maybe he should do a keto diet to help his seizures. And then we went to this homeopathic doctor in Arizona, and then we did his diet. And his diet, it was a 4-day rotation, and you could only eat day one. You could only eat these foods on day one, and then you'd have to wait 3 days to eat those foods. And that diet consisted of fruits, vegetables, and meat. But it did not consist of like wheat and dairy and things like that. So then Ryan was on that diet. And then like, I think it was probably 2 months later after starting that, I learned about the fruitarianism diet. And I was like, Ryan, because something just wasn't sitting right with me about the whole meat thing. And then as soon as I learned that we're only supposed to eat fruit, then I was trying to tell Ryan, we're only supposed to eat fruit. So I want you to stay doing the 4-day rotation diet, but we're only going to eat the fruits and the vegetables. We're not going to eat this meat products. And Ryan was like, are you kidding, Mom? You have messed with my diet now 3 times. This is getting ridiculous. How do I know what you want me to do is the truth? And so that has been one thing that has been very difficult for my son to overcome, because I've asked him to change his diet so many times. And that's why he's hesitant to go to all fruit, because he's like, what, Mom, in a year, you're going to tell me to change it again. And I'm like, no, Ryan, no. This is the way this is the way I know it. And now it's been, it'll be coming up onto 3 years that I've been trying to go only fruit. But it's been the last 6 months that I've been completely dedicated to only fruit. Sure, there's a little hiccup here and there because, we're all human. We all make mistakes. But anyways, I just wanted to share that because, Sara, what you were saying, been in that boat, and I wish I knew or remembered what I knew then. And that this has just been a journey. And I know that one day Ryan will hopefully see, he will see that this is the way we were meant to eat, and that it will truly help all of our health ailments and things like that. So I just wanted to pop on and share that.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. And, you know, it is a journey, and they're all our stepping stones. And sometimes we have to hear one thing and try something first before we realize that, you know, well, no, that wasn't the right door to go through. Let's try another door. So we're all here learning from each other and trying everything we can. And when it comes to our children, you know, it's very hard. And especially when you're dealing with seizures, that's something that can be very scary. So it is like you want that magic pill, or you want something to help right away, because it is scary to watch somebody go through a seizure. And I do remember you sharing that story a while back about going out there to Arizona for that. Toni, do you want to talk to the seizures?
I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
I do know that this is a few years ago. I had a client with a 3-year-old that went through seizures, and we got her on all fruit, and it slowly got better. But and even Dr. Morse says sometimes it's like, you know, we and of course we use the formulas. I don't know if you ever use that, Katie, is spasm calm. It's one of the things, but I think for your son, it is important that he learns how the body works and what animal products actually do in your body, in your GI tract. What do the proteins? That is that ebook actually for, and you have it. Okay, yeah, you got the part with the seizures, raw figs. Even Dr. Morse acknowledged that short-term eating meat, it is known to limit the seizures, but it's like what Lauren says, are the seizures really gone? You know, it feels like, yeah, you don't have them, but they can still happen. So you do have to go to the cause of the problem. And that is with everything. What is the weak area in the body that's causing the seizures for that particular person? Now we're talking about, because I mentioned the spasm calm, Dr. Morse has now a program for us practitioners that we can use his website directly, because before people had to order with me, and then I ordered it at Dr. Morse, and then at Dr. Morse they sent it out to the client. So I got paid from the clients, then I paid Dr. Morse, and then they send it out. It's kind of a complicated way. So they figured out an easier way, and I always gave people discounts on the prices, and now the website automatically gives people 10% discount. So you can order anything that you want. You can discuss it with me first, what you need, but then you can order it directly. You can use your credit cards, because for this, I wasn't using any credit cards, because when I gave a discount, and then I have to pay the credit card fees, it makes no sense, because it shouldn't cost me. And the way that it is set up now, it is so much easier. And I have a special link for it. I put it in the show notes. It is Dr. Morse herbalformulas.com, and it goes straight to his site. And it has a code in it. It's already in there. And then you can order directly from him. So as before, I had kind of a liability if products would not arrive. I don't have that now anymore. And you still get the discount. So I think it is that is important to know. And with any healing, it is we always talk about, we need to get the kidneys to filter. It is important. We need to get the lymph moving, important too, but we absolutely need to clean out the colon. And for some people, it's like they feel that they need the enemas. I'm always careful to suggest enemas only in extreme cases. And but yeah, colonics, which goes a little bit deeper, it could definitely help. And you can use the GI Renew. We have so many people with a word we almost use daily, constipation.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
this is so funny. My phone is set up when I text on my phone. It is set up that it kind of finishes the words for me. Do you know that in the library on my iPhone, the word constipation is not in there?
Really? Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
So many people suffer from
yeah.
constipation too, and even on certain levels, you're still constipated, and they don't realize that they are constipated.
It absolutely, because even when I think back on my mother, for her it was normal to go once a week, and I didn't even realize that, because it was not really a topic that you discussed when I was there. And then it's like, oh my God, that she even made it to 89 before she passed. It's like going once a week. I mean, all that food you eat 3 times a day, plus the snacks, plus the coffee, and still not going. Where is it all going? And she was not really, she was not really overweight. And but yeah, if it is if everything works good, you go 3. If you eat 3 times a day, you have 3 times a day of bowel movement.
And it should look like a banana, right?
I'm sorry?
It should look like a banana shape too, right?
Well, yeah, but when you are on all fruit, it can look on it doesn't look like fruit. It doesn't look like a banana.
Right.
Sometimes it can come out as petals because you're still healing.
Yes.
It's not perfect yet. But then the best way would be if you have a bowel movement 1 hour after you ate.
Mm-hmm.
But when we eat fruit, we don't really have these meals that we used to have. It may be an apple here and there. It may be if I have a bowl, like a soup bowl with grapes, I cannot even finish it, so I eat half, and then I eat the other half, but maybe an hour or 2 hours later. So, but usually after a meal, an hour later, you should have a bowel movement. And if that is not as a minimum of 2 a day, you have a problem.
Nice.
So I just saw in I'm sorry, I still have that itchy in my throat when I talk. There's nothing going on when I keep my mouth shut, but when I
think you're covered in pollen down there right now.
Yeah, it is. Brooke asked, will Heal Alti help the kidneys filtering along with the kidney tissue? No, not necessarily. It's a diet. See, diet always comes first. We do talk about the herbal formulas and how they can help you, but it is always the diet comes first.
Well, if you she did put her second comment down there too.
Oh,
so
okay.
She's on fruit all day.
I see it. Yes, fruit all day and the salad at supper and no fats. Perfect. But if your kidneys are not filtering after you've been doing that a few weeks, months, then I would suggest, and definitely the kidney 1 and 2 would always be great. That and the adrenal formula. And but if your kidneys are not filtering, you can use juiced parsley in the morning, first thing in the morning. Nothing added, no water added, just like 6 ounces of juiced parsley. You do that for about a week and then see if your kidneys are filtering.
Yep.
Now there are people that say, "Oh, my kidneys filter great on watermelon." For another one, it can be it can be the grapes. For I think for you, you're very good with the oranges.
Yes.
So it is different. You have to just to try out what goes best. But to kickstart the filtering, it's often the parsley, and it can be Italian parsley or curly parsley. And about I think about a bunch, depends on how big they are. 1 or 2 bunches give you about 6 ounces. And no, it doesn't taste great.
No, it does not.
Maybe we should say that.
Baby.
We should say it's absolutely delicious, and then in their mind there is, yes, it is delicious, and it goes in easy.
I am the worst when it comes to doing stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Maybe they just won't filter.
Yeah. Well, see, Brooke, when you already say, getting a little filtering, it's a start. There for me, after 2 years, clear. but I had kidney problems my whole life already. So I'm happy with every progress there is being made. And even when the kidneys are not filtering not for me, they filter always, but adequately, let's say it that way. I'm still moving forward. So
I think our kidneys are like the black filter that's inside our water purifiers, that they get all
kinda,
clogged
yeah.
up, and then
Yeah.
once like every 3 months you take it out and you scrub it down, and then before you scrub it down though, you see that it's not, you can see how the water doesn't come out as quickly, and then after you give it a good scrub, then you can see how all those pores kind of open up. So
Yeah.
just think of it that way. You got some scrubbing you need to get done. Maybe there's only a couple holes that are open right now, but just keep the course and keep trying.
Yeah, but you mentioned the heel Alte, Brooke, and absolutely take that anyway. You know, it's one of the basic teas. I have the heel Alte, I have the Trilang tea. It's really good, and it actually helps you a little bit the lymph moving. So that would be a good one for you since you're already filtering a little. So 108-day juice. Oh, of course. You did good.
Yeah, nice.
Oh,
That's
amazing.
wonderful. You are really on a mission, and that's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, and yeah, I hope you felt great while doing it or feel good now. But yeah, with 100-day juice feast, I would say your kidneys are going, you know, with filtering. And what you can do is do a light dry brushing and some walking and maybe a little bouncing. It was Justin mentioned that one time, and I had a kick out of it when he mentioned that, because when we talk about bouncing, we talk about that bouncer.
The rebounder.
And, yeah, the rebounder. And he said there is another way. And right away, I had this vision in my head that we were on the bed, you know, bouncing. But that was not what he meant. He said he had another way. It was like just go out in the grass and go up your toes. And you don't really have to, you know, leave the ground. It's just to go up and down, and it gets the kidneys filtering. Walking will do, the lymph moving, walking will do it. So, and the correct dry brushing. It's I have a video on my channel. You probably have to scroll all the way where the Dr. Morse videos are. But that is one about correct dry brushing. And no, it's not towards the heart like everybody would say.
Yep. And I've been getting asked a lot of questions about lymphatic massages. And my first question is are your kidneys filtering? Because if you're going to move your lymph, you're just going to move it to another area.
Well, the problem often is that the lymphatic massages are not done the correct way. So then you get more problems than when you started.
Yeah, that too.
And thank you, Monique. Yeah, castor oil does the kidneys good as well. Castor oil packs, and I definitely should do that one of these days. So thank you for reminding us of the castor oil.
And you do have a sheet on that, along with Dr. Morse has a sheet on castor oil packs as well.
Yeah, it's in the Brooke has done that, of course. You know all the tricks already, but I bet you didn't know the parsley one.
Maybe.
Actually, I learned that from Alexandra.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Yeah, we did a show with her too. So she got me on that part. Yeah.
The link I just provided in the chat is for the link to your show on dry brushing from your YouTube channel.
Okay, great.
Yes. Good. And then the heel tea, is that the one where they give the recipe on how to make that yourself?
It's actually the Trilang tea.
That's right. That's the one.
It was a Trilang tea, and there should be a video for that one too, that you can make it yourself.
When I was looking for heel tea, it's been a little while, and I haven't looked recently, but it was always sold out.
They don't seem to have that problem anymore now.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think everything is pretty much available. And
Yep.
if you don't know which one to choose, it's always the the tinctures with alcohol are the strongest, have the best results. The capsules are okay too, and then come the glycerins. I mean, a lot of people do not want to have the alcohol, and then you use the glycerins. They're still strong, they still work good. It's just that the alcohol-based one works faster. So,
Good to know. Yeah, I want to get some of the Heal All tea, but I believe my mom's she's on the tincture, the Heal All tincture. I had to look that up again. Let's see. Oh, she's on the 3-Long Herbal Blend. Yeah, and she's on the Heal All Herbal Blend tincture.
okay, very
Yep.
good.
Yeah. Yes, and she's also completed her grape fast, and she was doing pretty well on it. The cough is definitely still there. It's almost kind of like a COPD kind of cough, which, I mean, she may be battling COPD as well. She grew up in a time where everyone smoked in the house. We grew up
Yeah.
with smokers in the house, but she's never been a smoker herself.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Mm-mm.
You may want to try the lung detox.
Yeah, I think she's on that as well. So
Oh, you got Katie, you got the Sante shower filters. Yeah, those are the ones that I do have too. And even with my with my new whole house filter, 7-stage filter, I'm gonna leave the Sante filters in. Because the funny thing is, when you get a new whole house filter, they tell you, oh, there's still water in the pipes and you have to flush it. Well, it's Thursday now, and it was installed on Monday. I tasted the water yesterday, and it had a chlorine taste. So it may take a little longer, but I still don't trust the tap water.
no. And we never smell chlorine in our water, even when it's coming right out of the tap and going into our water filter. But since that whole East Palestine thing, which I'm more than 250 miles away from that, but it feeds, I guess, the aquifers and stuff like that in the areas. I smelled chlorine really, really strong last week. And I told my husband, I was like, oh, I guess they're preempting something maybe.
It's yeah, we have it sometimes here that I come into the I fill up the bathtub, and then I walk in the hallway, and it's like, oh my God, it actually smells like chlorine. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
much that they at some point so much they put in there.
Yeah, it does. I'll smell that sometimes too. If we're it's been a long time since we've used our bathtub, but I remember smelling that too, especially we have one of those bathtubs that have like the jets in it or whatever. If that's turned on, I'll even have to open the window and turn the fan on just to try to get that out.
But imagine you take a bath in that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting inside.
Not
I
me.
I live in a community here with a beautiful pool, and it's all lakes around it. So from the pool, you can oversee a lake. And it's like, I love swimming. I love being in a pool. But the idea of all the chemicals and all the chlorine then entering my body, it's like, nope.
Yeah. Nope. We have a saltwater pool at my mom's, and I'm really glad that she did get that instead, but I don't know if that's still 100% good or whatever, but at least we don't smell like chlorine when we get out of the pool.
Yeah, it seems that it still needs some chemicals to stay
Mhm.
clean.
Yep. And I'm not a swimmer by any means. I don't swim all the time, maybe, I don't know, 8 times a year.
No, it's more than I do lately.
Yep. Seems like everybody's in the pool though. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll go with everybody.
Yeah,
That peer pressure, I tell you.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna play with my boy. He loves swimming. So we call him our little fish. Even when
Yeah,
he was
it's
really little.
I always loved it. It's yeah, in school we went swimming, so it was it was just something that that was the fun part of the growing up. In the summer, you went swimming. It doesn't matter if it was lakes or the city pool, or and in the winter it was ice skating. So those were our outdoors activities.
Yep.
I want to briefly touch on next week. Next week, Thursday, it's actually my birthday. And yes, we will have a show. And I am trying, and I have asked, I didn't get an answer yet. I would love to have Aaron on here, who can do the tarot. He already did a tarot reading for me last year, but I thought it would be actually fun to have a live tarot reading, my chart, so you get to know more about me.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I want to see if he's interested or can do it at that time, because I hadn't mentioned it to him before. He will definitely be on a show in the future, but I'm trying to get him here for next week.
That's really neat. Aaron is very kind and sweet, and he has an amazing Instagram channel too, where he does post all kinds of gnosis over there.
Yeah, I was on his website, and there's a ton of information there. And let me see, because I had it open. It is actually called heroesjourneyreturn.com.
Yep.
So that is, he has, you can book a session there. He has more about the tarot, verses, videos, other resources, testimonials, history. So a lot of good stuff. And I was this morning looking at the books that he recommended, and there were a few that I have read. So I would definitely go there. And heroesjourneyreturn.com. And he does a lot of great decoding of Tolkien, and he's gonna pick that up again too, and I like that.
Nice. That is very nice.
I had all my Tolkien books were in Dutch, so I read them when I was probably in my late 20s, 30s.
Yep.
And I haven't read them since, but I last year I bought them in English, and I think that with the decoding it would be interesting to just read them again.
Yeah.
And a different perspective on it. Took me
Yeah.
a while back then to get through it, to get into it. And then I was just amazed. And when the movie came out, usually when you read a book, I know this has nothing to do with health. Well, in a way it does, because it makes me happy. But when you read a book and then you have an idea about how everything looks, you visualize the whole story, the people, everything that is in there. And lo and behold, I saw that movie, and it was exactly how I visualized it. I was not disappointed at all. It was amazing.
They did an amazing job with the Lord of the Rings series.
Gosh, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they did. Really brought it to life. And the same with the Harry Potter series too. And Aragorn, he with Charlie and Colleen, and I can't, was it Amanda? I'm not sure who else was on the
Sandra
group.
Marie.
Sandra, that's right. They went through the whole I don't know if it was the whole Tolkien series, but they were going through a good portion of them, a few of the books. Yeah, that was very interesting. And especially all of us having, the new eyes and to be able to read it and the ears to hear it and really listen, that it is just the one true story.
Yeah, we look at things now with completely different eye, but I got into that story so much. It was it's like you just have to keep reading. It's like all of a sudden you're in that life.
Yes.
And those are amazing books.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love how Toni pronounces words. Well, thank you, Grant. What did I do this time?
Maybe it might have been the way you pronounce Tolkien.
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 Well, it is in Dutch. It is Tolkien.
Yeah.
And so that is my way. How would you pronounce it then?
Tolkien.
Tolkien.
Yeah.
Tolkien.
But please don't ask me. Don't ask
everyone
me
in
how to
Europe
pronounce
says
words.
everyone in Europe says Tolkien.
I did terrible in English class, and vocabulary was like the worst.
In the first years that I knew a little English when I first came here in 81, and I was afraid to make mistakes. So I just, didn't say anything. But then it was like, who cares? And I was better in writing English than in talking it because I was afraid of making mistakes. And you cannot think about it when you write. You can at least think about what you write down, but not when you speak it. But
Yeah.
then I found that here in the US, people were sometimes repeating what I said, but then they said it the correct way. And I was like, oh, okay.
And it all depends on where you are too. I mean, we say
Well,
things completely different
It
here.
is funny. It is funny when you mention that depends on where you are, because I traveled all over the United States. Of course, I picked up slang, and
Mhm.
I rode a motorcycle, so I am with people that use slang words, and I picked up slang, and then I found out when I finally had the nerve to use that word in a sentence, I was in an area where that word was not being used, and they were looking at me like,
Oh my God.
what language are you speaking? Like,
That's so funny.
okay.
I met somebody recently, and we were just kind of talking, and he's like, "You sound very Southern." And I'm like, "Well, I'm born and raised here. Just that." And so I was like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "I'm from Tennessee." And I'm like, "I don't hear Tennessee at all in the way you speak." Oh, and then when we go out to Colorado too, then I do sound probably pretty Southern to people out west, but out in Colorado, they do definitely talk different than I do here.
Yeah, often people think that I'm from Germany, and it's like, no.
Yep.
It's like, do I sound that European?
Well, for us, that are not familiar with different languages, then it is all, I don't know, it can sound very similar for us until you really have the ear for it. But
Yeah, well, it's nowadays, it's like if I pronounce something wrong, I ask about it. If I know, this is not the correct way. Sometimes I'm missing words that I don't know, they just didn't appear in my vocabulary yet.
That's funny.
And I cannot worry about it. I can make
No.
myself clear, and I have fun doing it as long as others have fun with it too.
Absolutely.
I don't mind at all when people correct me, but I found that Americans are not really doing that much.
No,
They,
I mean, especially nowadays, nobody, I don't know, nobody
because there are
can.
so many foreigners here, but yeah, sometimes I feel that there are people from China or Mexico that their English is better than mine. But it's like, I get my point across.
You do, and you
And
do an excellent job. I mean, I barely can speak another language. So I think you do a fantastic job. And a lot of this anyway, these are just the English language. We have all this spelling and they spell casting and the way you say things anyway. We've been lied to even just about that stuff. So I'm glad that I didn't do very well in English or vocabulary or stuff like that, because at the end of it, I mean, it doesn't even really matter.
no, it's like
Yeah.
I have wondered. Oh, this is funny. When I got into the positive thinking, and it was like, okay, but I sometimes not anymore. Now my thinking is even in English, not in Dutch. But then I was like, maybe I should think in Dutch. Maybe it would be more beneficial. And it was like the meaning. There is a meaning behind words, and it doesn't matter in which language it is being spoken. If it's Russian, Chinese, Spanish, whatever language it is. So yeah, it's
And it's just broadening our, the more people you speak with or work with, or because I work in my job, I work with people all around the world. So I can pick up different things like what Grant was saying, the different Asian dialects. I can pick up difference if I can kind of tell like who I'm speaking to, like what part of the world you're going to be probably coming from. But yeah, I mean, I still can't definitely pinpoint stuff because I don't deal with that on a daily basis. So, but I do find it very interesting. I love learning about people, and I love learning about their culture, their history. And, they're just another ways that we can broaden our horizons and help each other and have a better understanding.
When you say their history, it's like, yeah, but we've been lied about all
Yeah,
these things.
exactly. Well, maybe their family histories.
Yeah, but the culture, yeah, I can. Okay,
Yes.
that was always my goal too.
Yes.
And
And I can't wait till we can all travel and see each other and, maybe just have free travel eventually. That'd be
yeah, that
great.
would be nice. And trying out as that couple who kind of in not even knowing they did, but introduced me to the fruitarian lifestyle. They just went
Mhm.
where the fruit was at that moment available, so in season. And so that is where they traveled. Not you cannot say all over the world, but probably most all the tropical countries.
Yep.
And there's so many fruit. I hear people talking about fruit in the Philippines and in Thailand, and it's like never heard of it, never seen it. I don't know how it tastes or smell or whatever it is.
Well, the jackfruit, I guess, is very popular over in Thailand. And of course, they have the Thai Fruit Festival as well. And I know a lot of people do flock to that, like raw foodists and things. But yeah, they have a lot of lots and lots of fruits.
Yeah, I as of today, I have not had a ripe jackfruit. I mean, jackfruit is used a lot, use it like
Mhm.
pulled pork.
Yep.
And that is the young jackfruit and not the ripe one. So I haven't tasted the ripe one. And with the young jackfruit, it's interesting because you can kind of pull the whole fruit apart and
Yep.
you just pick out those pieces.
It's
But
very
when it's
sticky
still
though.
young, yeah, when it's still young, it's kind of hard and it doesn't work that way. So someday I would love to have a really ripe a jackfruit, which is now when you see them in the grocery store, they're hard as a brick.
Yeah, they
And
are.
you can barely I try them out every time I'm there and they're kind of prickly. But then I'll push on it and I was like, no, I'm not close to ripe. It's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. And I'm that kind of person too. Like I smell my fruit before I buy it. And if it doesn't have a scent to me, then I usually don't buy it.
Yeah, but that's the same as with pineapples, they have a wonderful smell when they start fermenting, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they are ripe.
Yep. I want to
So
try a white pineapple one time. I
a what?
heard it's a white pineapple. I think you can only get them in Hawaii, and I think they're like $20 a piece. But apparently they're supposed to be amazing.
There was a red one that I had. I had a different color one, and then I learned about how it was created, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, I don't want them anymore. I
Oh.
had one, and I don't think it was white. I actually think it was red, and it didn't taste good at all. So
They said I'm reading about it now. White pineapple is grown mostly in Kauai and on the Big Island, typically sold locally because they have a shorter shelf life and should be eaten immediately.
well, it's with all the fruit.
Yeah.
You pick
And
it, it's ripe. You pick it, you have to eat it.
yep. Yeah, and
So
jackfruit can be very expensive, but I have had it and I pulled it apart. I got it at one of the Asian grocery stores, and it was pretty sticky, like the white stuff in it. I think it's I don't know, like some kind of rubber, or I forget what they call it, the white part of the jackfruit. But when I ate it, it definitely was not my favorite. They say it's supposed to taste like what juicy fruit gum would taste like, but I didn't get that.
Well, the good news in my yard is that my mango tree survived the freezing cold,
Well, that's
and
good.
it is covered in what is it, blossom.
Oh wow.
So
Good.
it did that last year too, but then there was only one area that had fruit, so I only had, I don't even remember, 4 or 5 fruits.
Nice.
So this year we shall see. And it's maybe only 5 feet high, 5, 6 feet high. So and I just don't want to prune it. It's like, oh my gosh, when it can have a fruit, I'm not going to cut off that branch, but I probably should.
I wonder if you prune it, if you actually kind of prune it where you can splice it and start growing more trees.
Yeah, well, I have to learn a lot more about that because that tree is my baby.
Yeah.
It
Last
had the
night.
absolute best mangoes ever.
Oh,
So
wow. I can't wait to have a great mango again one day. Last night, I was thinking about how to have oranges all year round. How could I grow oranges all year round? So I just searched that, and I came across this, I think he's 86 or 88-year-old man in Nebraska, of all places, and he learned how to do geothermal greenhouses. His greenhouse is almost 80 feet long, and it's dug down, I think, maybe 4 feet into the earth. And he has these geothermal things where he is growing his fruits all year round in Nebraska.
wow.
So I'm going to look further into it. I found him through somebody else's kind of vlog. And so I want to see if I can find one that's directly to him. And then I'm going to share it so that way other people can kind of look into it. But for those that we live more in the northern climates, it would be nice that we can grow fruit all year round here.
Yeah, when you
Have an
find that
opportunity.
information, that is definitely something that we want to have on the Garden of Eden platform.
Yes, exactly. 'Cause
Absolutely.
I would love
Yep.
to have one too. Grant just said that juicy fruit gum, that flavor comes from the jackfruit. Like they tried to mimic the jackfruit, I guess, in the juicy fruit gum flavor.
Okay.
Nice. I didn't know that. Well, it looks like we've gone over our hour, which is not hard to do.
I think you are amazing. You can type text in and you can talk. I cannot do that.
I am a Gemini, so I'm the
I'm
queen of
Pisces.
multitask.
I'm Pisces. Does that mean anything? But I'm creative, but I can definitely not do that. Although I was always a multitasker, and after I've been sick, I think I left the multitasking behind. I'm not good at it anymore.
They say that we shouldn't multitask. So I think it's actually really a downfall. It's probably my.
It is
Yeah.
because you don't focus on one thing. You're not in the now, you know.
Nope.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but it
Okay.
does come like second nature, so it's hard to break that.
It is.
Yes.
All right. So thank you for being here. It was a pleasure as usually, and we love you all. I know that Katie and Ingrid had to go. And I didn't even say goodbye. I think Ingrid is also from the Netherlands.
Okay, great.
And I love to see you all next week on my born Earth Day, whatever we call it now. Born Day.
Born day.
And I may have a surprise. I may not, but I may have a surprise. So we shall see. Although
Hopefully the
it's not much of
surprise
a
is
surprise
Aaron.
anymore.
That would be great to hear him.
Yeah.
Well, much love to everybody. Toni, wonderful show. Thank you for all your gnosis as well. And Katie, thanks for calling in. And thank you, everyone in the chat. We have lots of love for you all.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Till the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.